for the Buccaneers, now I'm head coach. I got young minds that'll lift up and ain't flying coach. I had a hard life and I ain't made it, and I ain't think that I was gonna make it. Incarcerated, but I still made it. If Frank can make it, I know I'll make it. Everybody try to count me out, everybody want a handout. Used to be part-time, but them plays ain't play out. Got a second chance to do it right. Man behind the helmet, wear it tight. A long way from the street life, and I serve God before I serve life. A lot of y'all real shooters, well I got real leaders. Help me bulletproof, I can show the proof. And y'all can make your moves, bet you can't make me move. Bet you can't make me break down, I don't fight to lose. Had to show my peers, I ain't had no fear. Player of the year, I made it top tier. Referee gon' put y'all on, referee gon' put y'all on, that's for sure. Referee gon' put y'all on, referee gon' put y'all on, that's for sure. Referee gon' put y'all on, referee gon' put y'all on, that's for sure.
Welcome to the Frank D. Murphy Show. I'm your host, Frank D. Murphy, aka Murph Time. Today we're going to be discussing how not forgiving can hinder your future. But you know, we always got to holler at my girl first while I get off in this thing. So what's up, Kay? What's the deal?
What's going on?
Oh, this is a hot topic right here.
I know.
I mean, man, how can it hinder your future?
Ooh.
Forgiving, not forgiving, unforgiveness.
Yes.
You got something funny?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, let's just start it off with defining what forgiveness is. So, Frank, what is forgiveness?
Forgiveness is giving the advantage and not taking the advantage. That's just my definition. Forgiveness is giving somebody the opportunity to see you vulnerable. And because they see you vulnerable, will they take advantage of that? And you have to be able to put yourself in the right position to be able to handle if somebody take advantage of your vulnerability. And my thing is, when I look around or I'm looking to let people in my circle, I have to already have in my heart that I forgive them before they even do anything wrong.
Right.
I think sometimes we look towards the future and everything else. Oh, I want a future car. I want this future house. What about saying I'm going to be in the future when it comes to forgiving? Already forgive them before you meet them. That ain't easy now, but I'm just saying.
Oof,
it's a start.
Oof, that's hard. To me, that sounds so hard. And it's cool because we have a lot of questions that speak to this. So my next question for you is, how do you forgive if you haven't yet healed?
How do you forgive and you haven't healed? Man, let's look in the mirror. I like to say this because if you haven't healed yet, that means you're still holding on to something. The other person can be gone on, live their life, enjoying their life, but you're still holding on to stuff. You're holding on to it because it gives you an excuse to be a certain way. It gives you an excuse to talk a certain way. It gives you an excuse to be lazy and not say, let me check myself before I wreck myself. I went back there. Some of y'all don't know where that come from. But eventually you're going to wreck yourself in your life and every relationship you get into, no matter what type of relationship, friendship, relationships, business relationships, because once something pop back up in your head and you remember what that other person did to you, you'll begin to now to act the same and try to defend yourself.
Right. Now, has it ever happened to you, Frank?
Unforgiveness?
Yeah, has it ever happened to you where you want to forgive, but you haven't healed yet?
You know what? I think I have been in situations, but I think one thing about me, I can honestly say this. I get over stuff real fast.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I move on real fast. I noticed that about me. Like,
really?
Yeah, I'm right there. You do that wrong, I give myself 5-day rule or 3-day rule, and I'm like, phew. And every time it comes back up, I remember that I'm going to be better off without it.
Okay, makes sense.
And you have to have your own system. My system may not work for you, but you got to find a system that don't give you permission to be in unforgiveness for doggone 3 and 4 and 5 years. There's people that something happened when they was 18 and they 55 years old and they still in unforgiveness. Right. That can't be. That just cannot be for you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Now, with that, how often do you have to forgive? Is it all the time? Is it sometimes? Is there anything that's unforgivable?
I mean, in this, how you view life. I mean, if you view life like I get to hold grudges, if somebody do me wrong, say something about me or hurt me, then yeah, you're gonna hold on to things all the time. And I'm gonna tell you in a minute why you don't want to do that. I'm gonna talk about a friend, reason why you don't want to hold on to things, unforgiveness throughout your life. But to answer that question, Kay, when you talk about the word forgiveness, it's a word that can't be used to hurt someone. A lot of times we stay a certain way because it gives us permission to jug at that person that did you wrong, or jug at that person because they said something wrong about you. That right there is an excuse for you not to love. And you're going to have to come to the conclusion that you have no excuse. Now, this is hard. I mean, I know this is hard. But I'm going to tell you in a minute why you have to find this out and realize that if you don't do it, then you're going to mess your whole life up.
Right.
And it causes sickness, it causes unhealthy situations, and then you lose a lot of good friendships as well.
Wow. That's, yeah, forgiveness for me, I've always been the one that's on the fence. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that on the fence thing.
I mean, well, I'm on the fence because to me, there's certain things, that you just don't do. If you love a person, there's certain things that you just would not do to that person. So where I'd want to forgive them, sometimes my heart just wouldn't be in the place to forgive at that time. Now, years later, I forgave, but I also see where it hinders me, where that holding on to that grudge stole my power in a sense. You should never give anybody your power.
Well, you actually giving them your peace too.
That's true.
It's hard to
That's
operate
true.
with no peace.
Absolutely.
Things become hard, and then when you have no peace, if you do it for a long time with no peace, it becomes normal to have
Right.
no peace, and you're
Right.
never joyful.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just think we're talking about a hot topic here that I think that a lot of young people are going through, and older people are going through. But if we can stop the next generation and help them understand that you holding on to your dad not being there for you, or you holding on to your mom may not be in there for you, you never seen your dad, because I have to let you know this. It's not who you come through, it's who you come from. And when you begin to understand this higher power than you, and you begin to understand holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting on somebody else to die. That's what it does to you. And I'm going to share with you a friend of mine named D'Angelo Cheney, one of my best friends. And we talked about forgiveness and unforgiveness. D'Angelo parents, his mom, she was on drugs. And so the question is, did she love the drugs more than him? He never seen his mom because she was always on drugs. His dad was a drug dealer, so he never seen him either. So as D'Angelo got older, he began to say, you know what? This ain't fair. This ain't right. So I got every right not to love them. I got every right not to forgive them. And you know what happened? It cost him something. It cost him his peace, his joy, his happiness, but also he ended up with a brain tumor.
Oh my gosh.
And that brain tumor, he believes, was from holding on to all that unforgiveness. Because see, you got to look at this, okay? Forgiveness is not for nobody else, it's for you. It's not for that other person. You think you let that other person off easy because you forgive them, but no, it's really to release you and be free.
Right.
So, he went through surgery, almost died, man.
Wow.
So with that being said, okay, what do you think? What do you think that D'Angelo could have did different in that type of situation?
Of course, I think he could have forgave, but it's hard when, for a person like me, you sit in this seat where that wasn't my story.
Right.
So when it's not your story, it's kind of hard to say, this is what he should have done.
Right.
Because I feel, sitting from my seat, he had the right to have those feelings, because I'm sure there are times where he went to school or he went to go play outside and his friends had their mother, his friends had their father, and he just felt, less than.
Yeah.
And no child should feel less than when there was someone who gave birth to you. So for me, I feel as though he had a right to feel those feelings. But like you say, he has to relinquish that pain at some point to get his peace. I agree. I agree with him. I think that when you hold on to things that are negative for so long, I think they fester. I think they become cancers. They become sickness. And it can take you into a different type of life that you would outright never have to live. But if you let it go, you live free, you live fresh, and you can see the future, you know, and you don't have anything holding you back, nothing hindering you.
That's good, Kate. But I also tell people, be human, which means give yourself an opportunity to be human. Cry, get it off your chest,
Right,
scream, yell at your house,
right,
get a pillow,
right,
whatever you need to do, be human.
right.
But being human don't mean the same as giving myself an excuse
Right.
to be this way.
Right.
Kay, I ask you this question.
Yeah.
Just because it's legal, does that mean it's right?
No, absolutely not.
So it's legal to carry guns and it's legal to do certain things, but other people think it's not right.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, have you come to the conclusion that it's legal to not forgive other people in your past? Because that don't make it right.
That's a good one.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good
So
one.
I think having these different examples, like my boy D'Angelo, he felt the same way. I mean, he wished his dad was there to shoot basketball with him. And, you know, he wished his mom was there to cater to him. But you know what? His grandma stepped in. And we have to realize that sometimes the people that love you the most is not capable of loving you back correctly. And you don't see it like that at first, but who was there at that time to love him correctly? His grandma.
Right.
And she loved him all the way until the point where his mom got free from drugs.
Wow.
Loved him to the point where his dad got his life together.
Wow.
And now he's friends with them like nothing ever happened.
Wow.
So because of their hardship, you have to look at it, it's not just about you.
Right.
Because of their hardship,
Right.
he had to forgive them because that's where they was at the time.
Right.
They didn't want to be on drugs. Who wants to just be on drugs?
Right.
Who wants to feel like they got to sell drugs and
Right.
run the street?
Right.
So at some point, you're going to have to mature and grow up and say, I forgive my parents. I forgive my brother and sister. I forgive my friends, simply because at the end of the day, that's where they was at.
Right.
And you have to remember, where they at don't mean that's where they're going to stay.
That's true.
And where they're going to stay at or where they're going to end up at, a lot of times depend on you.
That's true.
D'Angelo helped them come back and with open arms.
Wow.
He opened arms to them like, whatever went on in the past, whatever y'all went through, I'm not going to take that upon myself and blame me.
Right.
You was where you was at, you learned your lesson, and you here now. And we're going to enjoy this moment now.
Right. Right.
That's
and
deep.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, because a lot of people can't do it. I won't say that they can't do it. I think they can do it. I just think that they don't want to, because like you said, it's all about being selfish. It's all about having a mentality that is about me, 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 me. And in the grand scheme of things, life isn't just about you.
Right.
It's about the collective. And like you said, grandma was there to be there for him at that time. You never know. That could have been the love that he needed in that time to get to him to where he is
At
right
that
now.
time, to be
Makes
the man
sense.
he is today.
Yeah.
Because if
Makes
he'd have had
sense.
his dad, he
Yeah.
would have learned how to sell drugs.
Exactly.
He would have been a drug dealer in jail now,
There you
like
go.
his dad. If he
There
had
you
his
go.
mom, he could have turned out to get on drugs.
Right.
So we
Right.
have to look at the good out of these things.
Yeah.
And you will start to realize
Yeah.
God got a way of working things out.
Right.
God's working harder than Satan right
Right.
now.
Right.
Yeah, he's doing a workout. Satan's chilling on the couch. So you got to count that.
Right.
You got some more? You got a
Of course.
question?
Okay. So what's the difference between forgiveness and being foolish?
Forgiveness and being foolish.
Meaning forgiving a person to a fault. You know, you've hurt me 65 times, but I keep allowing you to come back and hurt me over and over again.
This is a tough one. Let me tell you why. This is a tough one. Because in your DNA, in your makeup spiritually, it's your opportunity and your duty to keep forgiving. But where you mess up at, I'm going to keep forgiving, but I'm going to keep putting myself in the same situation, same position to fail. That's your fault. If you keep putting yourself in the same position to fail, guess what? You're going to fail. So you have to come to the conclusion, okay, this is the second time, there won't be a third time,
Right.
but I still forgive you. Now I'm finna get in another position.
Right.
I'm finna stand in another position. I'm finna be in another position. What that does, that stop now from that person
Right.
from hurting you again.
Right.
But some of us don't want to do that because we don't got accustomed to being hurt. We think it's okay to be hurt, so we keep doing it. Then we go in this one big circle and say, oh, I'm being hurt. Okay, I don't forgive you. Now I get to walk around with that hurt, and now I get to treat you a certain way. Then when that person finally leave your life, you too scarred and abused to talk to someone else.
Makes
And that could be talk to someone as a friend or talk to someone as a relationship,
Right.
things of that nature.
Right.
It's, you know, unforgiveness is very dangerous because I do a lot of mentorship with athletes, a lot of mentorship with young men that maybe just got out of jail or before they go to jail, I'm mentoring them. I just love mentoring, being a life coach. And I realized that a lot of these young men and women got unforgiveness. And see, unforgiveness taps into anger. And when you tap into anger, that calls you now to want to make everybody feel your pain. So you lash out. So you get with the wrong crowd. You want to carry guns now. You want to be that copy machine instead of be the original. And it's all because you haven't forgive yet because you don't know how. So you think it's anger, but it's really unforgiveness. Unforgiveness creates anger. And then anger creates a lot of problems in your life. So if you're going through a lot of problems in your life, I want you to think about who you haven't forgiven yet. If you're angry, who you haven't forgiven yet. It's something behind anger, and I believe it's unforgiveness.
Okay, I got another one for you.
Okay.
How do you know once you've hit that threshold? How do you know once you have forgiven? How do you know it's really for real? Because, you know, sometimes, you know, you do something, I can say, oh, yeah, I forgive you. But in my mind, in the back of my mind, my heart of hearts, I know I haven't forgiven this person. How do you know when you have relinquished that burden off of your chest?
I think for me, I know because I can see this person. I can even sit down with this person, have a conversation. I also feel like I know because in my heart, I can do something for this person and not ask for it back. And don't even blink twice.
Okay.
That's when you know you're growing. You know, a lot of times you don't know you're growing unless you take a picture before and after. A lot of people don't take a picture before, so they don't even know when they're growing.
Right.
You got to know that this is a marathon, not a race. Right. So if you grow just a little bit, 5%, that's good. If you grow 10%, that's good. If you grow 1%, that's good. Give yourself some credit. And then as you go along, you build confidence.
Right.
And when you have confidence, you got good results.
Makes sense. Well, with that, with giving yourself some credit, because we are our harshest critics, right? How do we learn to forgive ourselves?
I think that's the first start. Like everybody know what track, you run track. There's a starting block. Right. And that starting block starts with you before you race against anybody else in that race. It's how you get in that starting block. And a lot of people forget about the starting block. And they just look at the other people next to them and watch them race against the other people. But the race starts at the beginning with yourself. And you can't be scared. You can't be nervous to checkmate yourself. Checkmate yourself. Audit yourself. And see what you can do to become a better person when it comes to anything. Forgiveness, how to work better, how to not be lazy, whatever. Only you can put definition behind your name. Your parents can help you, your guardian can help you, your teachers can help you, but they can't do it for you. Right. Only you can put definition behind your name. What would they say when they say your name? Will they say lazy? Will they say no character, no integrity? Or will they say hard worker? A person that listens, a person that's humble. Only you can put definition behind your name.
Well, you did it for me.
Did it for you?
You did it for me.
Man.
I like that one.
I did it for you, but you got nothing else for your boy? You can't give me one more?
Forgiveness is such a hard, for me, it's so hard. It's always been, because I feel like I love people to a fault.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes I can put myself, wear my heart on my sleeve, and sometimes I can just have people just snatch it all the time. So I guess the question that I have for you is just, is there, with forgiving and with always, with people hurting you over and over and over again, and like you said, you have to be cognizant of what it is that they've done. But how do you cut off a person? Because I understand, blocking a blessing if, they hurt you, I forgive. But if it's a person that's in your circuit, in your circle that you have to always be around, how do you continue to always deal with this person? And if you stop dealing with that person, does that make you less of a forgiver?
No, I think that's the key. That's the key to open the door. You have to know when enough is enough. And I think a lot of times people batter other people because they stop hanging with this person or stop hanging with that person. But what that person is going to realize in 3 years, 5 years later, it was the best decision they made in their life. Because if a person is not compatible in walking out to the vision that you see for your life and the goals you see, right, you immediately need to make sure that person don't get in your circle. Right. Now, it's nothing wrong with being outside the bubble where you speak love, hey, how you doing? Right. But when you talk about getting in the intimate circle with someone, you better know for sure that it's for you or that person is for you. I'm going to close with this. I had to come to a place where I had to forgive because I've been in a lot of situations where I put myself in a lot of bad situations with bad decision making. And, I found myself incarcerated before. But this one particular time, I was in junior college in Garden City. And I found myself incarcerated in junior college for making bad decisions, hanging with the wrong crowd, getting into a lot of different things. So I was on the football team, but when I got out of jail and I was still waiting on trial, they told me I couldn't play football no more. So they said, all you can do is go to school. So I say, okay. They say, we can't kick you out because you ain't been found guilty, so we got to let you go to school. Well, you know what? The coaches stopped talking to me, never let me lift weights anymore. They wouldn't even speak to me. Now, in my opinion, that was an opportunity for those men to relate to another young man. I was young. I was a young man. These was older men that was coaches. It was their opportunity to help me. But they bypassed that opportunity because they didn't see the diamond shining. They seen a dull diamond. And I'll never forget myself walking down the hall. And it was this janitor. And she said, young man, every time I see you, I see a light shining on you. You're going to change the world. And I said, what? She don't even know who I am. And I'm like, if she knew what I've been into and the trouble I'm in, she wouldn't say that. She said, young man, will you hang out with me? Will you go to church with me and this and that? I say, sure, I might as well. Nobody else don't talk to me on campus or the coaches don't talk to me no more. And I went to church with her. I hung out with her. And then before you know it, I went to trial and I won trial. Wow. So fast forward, I go back to the coach and now I'm back playing again. They gave me the opportunity to play, but guess what? I'm looking at them like y'all didn't want to talk to me at all when I was in trouble, when that was your opportunity to mentor me, but a woman, a lady, a janitor, never been a man before. She mentored me. Wow. She took me under her wings and said, I see a diamond in you. And look at me now. Right. The thing she said is actually happening because she believed in me. Wow. And I had to get over that and say, all these men out here that could have helped me, they didn't. I had to forgive them. Because you know what? I came back that next year and I had to look at these same coaches in their face every day, practice with them every day, knowing they really didn't like me. Wow. And you asked me how I did it? The reason why I did it, because I knew it was bigger than them. It was bigger than them. Your life is bigger than those who hate on you and those who lie on you, those who crucify you. Your life is way bigger than them. But if you get on their level, you're going to get muddy like them. Right. Stay out of the mud. Right. And I began to realize that if I do that, it's going to work out. And guess what? Those same coaches wrote speeches for me to talk about putting me in the Hall of Fame. Wow. Those same coaches had to send letters out to other colleges to recruit me. I won the Heisman Trophy that year. Wow. I broke records. I got into the Junior College Hall of Fame that year. I took our team to the national championship. We lost, but I still got MVP player of the year and of that game. I said all that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that if I can do it, you can do it. You have to forgive. And you first have to forgive yourself or you'll never forget. So if you find yourself not forgetting what somebody else did, it's because you haven't forgiven yourself. I'm going to end it right there. This your boy Frank D. Murphy, a.k.a. Murph Time, the Frank D. Murphy Show. We'll see you again. I'm with my girl Kay. We'll get at you later.
All right.
Peace.
Murphy gon' put y'all on, that's for sure. Murphy gon' put y'all on, Murphy gon' put y'all on, that's for sure. Murphy gon' put y'all on, Murphy gon' put y'all on, that's for sure. Murphy gon' put y'all on, Murphy